There's something most of us spend our lives avoiding, something we hide from, something that hurts. Rejection. No, not the cliche, no pain, no gain. This is different. This is pain with purpose. Pain that turns fear into fuel if you know how to use it. So let me start with this. Do you remember your first rejection? Or maybe not the first, but the most memorable one. That rejection email from the job you tried so hard for, or the awkward silence you got when you finally poured your heart out to someone you love just for them to realize they don't feel the same. Relax. I'm not here to bring back painful memories. I'm here to teach you how to reframe them, how to turn those rejections from something that stops you into something that strengthens you. Because what if rejection isn't proof that you're not good enough, but instead proof you're brave enough to try? And by the end of this, my goal is simple. I want you to stop fearing rejection and start seeing it as a sign that you're moving forward. So let me start with mine. 22 years ago, I came to America when I was 6 years old with my single mom because my father rejected me, or at least that's what I believed at the time. And as a kid, I didn't have a word for it, but I felt it. I felt unlovable. I felt like someone who was supposed to love me unconditionally had decided I wasn't worth it. And that story followed me. It followed it with my confidence, in my relationships, and in the way I measured my own worth. But something eventually changed. Not the rejection, but the meaning I gave it. So this is lesson 1. Rejection does not define your identity. Rejection is something that happens to you, not who you are. And once that shift happened, I stopped hiding. I started reaching out to people around me, and through them, I learned something at the time I didn't even believe about myself. I was lovable. And these families, the Blakes, the Richmonds, and John, the many kind people from Montpelier, Ohio, they helped me rewrite the story I was telling myself. And they proved that my rejection didn't define me. So here's a line I want you all to remember. Rejection is just an event. It never gets to tell you who you are, and your worth isn't up for vote, not by a recruiter, not by an algorithm, and not by anyone who fails to see your value. So fast forward a few years, and I'm a freshman at Ohio University, hearing the same line everyone hears. You can do anything you put your mind to. So I set my mind to one thing, landing a freshman year internship. But my best friend Evan had even a bigger idea. Let's spend the summer in California and see what's out there. I've never been out west, and I didn't come from an Ivy League target school. But something about cramming into a 1-bedroom Airbnb in a shared house with 6 other people felt exciting enough to try. So we went and promptly got rejected over and over again, more than 1,000 times from tech company after tech company. But around rejection 400, a shift happened. We stopped asking, do they like us? And started asking, what works? What doesn't? How do we get better? And every no became data for us to refine our pitch, improve our story. So eventually, we learned how to cold email alumni and walk into rooms we didn't even belong in yet. And eventually, those rejections turned into conversations. And those conversations turned into an internship in Redwood City, California. So after that summer, I felt invincible. We had stories, confidence, and momentum. And I honestly thought the hurt from rejection was behind me. I was eager for them. That confidence carried me all the way to an internship in Shanghai the next summer. even though I didn't speak a word of Chinese and only knew how to speak Thai. I want to give a special thank you to Curtis, Joey, and Yong from the Shanghai team. I loved the challenge and I came back feeling qualified and started applying to other prestigious consulting firms. And I was convinced I was ready. I did the prep, all the case studies, the late night studying, everything you're told you're supposed to do. And even traveling to Singapore for more networking events and interviews. I'd like to give a big thank you to Dan and Clarence for all the help and late nights and prep work for me. And after all that, then I was still rejected. And that moment brought me to lesson 3. Rejection builds skills that confidence alone never could. Because confidence doesn't come before the reps, it comes after them. Those rejections didn't mean I failed. They showed me the gaps. They forced me to communicate more clearly, think more structurally, and most of all, build real resilience. And that's the insight I want you all to remember. Confidence that's never been tested is fragile, but confidence earned through rejection is real. And that's the kind of confidence that's memorable in interviews, networking conversations, and public speaking. So I've graduated now, and by this point, I've collected well over 10,000 rejections, each one moving me closer to where I wanted to be. And yes, they still hurt, especially knowing how much effort went into each and every one of those applications, interviews, and conversations. But I kept showing up. I was still alive. And eventually, that persistence compounded. Those rejections didn't end my story. They redirected it, leading me to opportunities at companies like Apple, Salesforce, and Microsoft. And that's lesson 4. Rejection compounds when you stay in the game. The compounding I experienced, the Apple job, was possible through the network I built in California during my freshman year. I want to give a big thank you to Sean. Salesforce was possible through all the coaching calls and networking events for solution engineers. I want to give a big thank you to Moon and Justin. And then finally, Microsoft became a reality from each rejection compounding. I want to give a thank you to Neil, Ann, and Jamie. So one rejection may sting, but 1,000 rejections can reshape your life. Because most people quit after 10 applications, 1 awkward coffee chat, while the advantage belongs to the person who stays long enough for the rejection to start working for them. Rejection only has the power if you stop showing up. So when you keep going, it becomes momentum. So you've probably heard this before. The richest place on earth isn't a bank, it's a graveyard. Because that's where dreams go when they're never acted on. So let's talk about regret. Because what kept me going wasn't ambition alone. It was the people around me, the friends who built me up, challenged me, and even pushed me out of my comfort zone sometimes. But turning all the fears I had into something fun with wagers and bets. They forced me to try anyway. I'd have to pay them $100 for dinner or do 100 push-ups if I didn't try. They reminded me that the worst thing isn't rejection. It's the regret of the experience that you never gave yourself. So that's what I did. I kept reaching out to people, not knowing what would happen, just to be curious about what might be possible. And that curiosity led me to moments I never could have planned. I was having dinner and hanging out with Tony from LC Signs, who has 3 million followers. I was able to be on stage with DJ Soda from South Korea with over 5 million followers. And lastly, it was great to be on the football field with Brandon Aubrey, signing my poster after his game-winning kick against the Eagles in a stadium with over 100,000 people. And even now, talking on stage with you all to hear and share my stories through this TED Talk. And that's lesson 5. Avoiding rejection has a higher cost than facing it. So when you're trying, I promise the temporary discomfort will fade, but the regret of not trying lingers. The most dangerous rejection isn't the one you hear. It's the one you never risked. Because every rejection you choose is also an invitation to grow, to create moments you never would have if you didn't try. So here's my challenge to you. Try to get rejected today. Just one rejection. Send me your rejections. I'd gladly read them to my email. Now, rejection's still going to hurt, but it's going to hurt a little less with each step forward you take, like a runner's high, where progress comes when you stay in motion. So here's what rejection has taught us today. Rejection doesn't define your identity. Rejection is data, not a final verdict. A no isn't the end. It's feedback pointing you towards your next move. Rejection builds skills confidence alone can't, because confidence is the feeling you're ready. Rejection is what actually gets you ready. You don't earn confidence by only winning, you earn it by surviving the losses. Rejection compounds when you stay in the game. One rejection hurts. 1,000 rejection can build a career. Now, avoiding rejection costs more than facing it. The pain of rejection is temporary. The regret of not trying lasts. And even now, I'm still in this rejection game with you. So here's my ask. If this message resonates, I'd love a chance to speak to your class, your organization, or run a workshop with you all. Because this journey through rejection is where I found real fulfillment. And I want to build a life doing more of it, to inspire people to continue. Because every person you admire has had one thing in common. They've heard no more times than most people ever would try. The difference isn't talent or confidence, it's exposure. So don't wait until you're ready. Don't wait until you feel comfortable. Collect those rejections. Chase them, because you're one rejection away from a new connection, a new skill, or a moment that changes your life. And I promise you, eventually, the right yes will find you. Thank you all for the opportunity, so let's get rejected together.